Hi everyone, this is Sam with Leash Free Living. I wanted to hop on today and tell you our origin story. So how I got started in dogs and how I became a dog trainer. So the story begins way back when I was 14 years old and dogless, and I had been begging my parents for a puppy of my own for a long time with no success. So I ended up semi-adopting my neighbor's dogs. They were nice enough to give me access to their dogs. So I would come home from work or from school and I would play with their dogs for 3 or 4 hours each day. And then when they got home from work, then I would go home and do my homework and go to school and repeat the process. Luckily, they didn't get sick of me, but they did end up moving. And that was the perfect bargaining chip for my parents to get me my own puppy, right? Because I had filled so much of my day with playing with dogs, and once they moved, I had nothing. And I think maybe they just didn't want me to awkwardly go around the neighborhood asking everyone if I could play with their dogs. So enter Mandy. So Mandy was a little tiny Maltese. We got her when she was a puppy, and I adored this dog. So I took her everywhere with me. She went to the horse farm with me. She went to college classes with me. I took her into restaurants, friends and family's houses. Basically, if she was not allowed to go, then I didn't go, right? I only went places that I could take her. I was probably a little unhealthily attached to this dog, and that lasted until she was 3 years old. One day we had gone to the horse farm and our riding instructor had a German Shepherd, and she knew the dog for months and months beforehand, and they had hung out and coexisted peacefully and even played some together, except this day the German Shepherd was giving her a little bit more attention than was usual. So I noticed we were standing around, and I moved to intervene, and I just was going to distract the other dog away from Mandy, except before I could get there, the German Shepherd grabbed Mandy over her back and started to shake her. Unfortunately, a 5-pound dog doesn't really stand a chance against a German Shepherd. Mandy did survive that attack, and she made it to the emergency hospital where they did surgery, but 2 days later she passed from her injuries. So I was traumatized after that, because watching your dog get killed sucks. And I was 17, and I didn't know what to do, right? Every aspect of my life I had included my dog, and I was sad, and non-dog people didn't really get it. But yeah, I was crushed. The only place that I hadn't taken my dog was to work, and I was working at a retail store, and so I just tried to work as much as possible because I didn't want to be home, and I didn't want to go to the horse farm. And I didn't want to go any place that we went together. So one of our mutual friends was taking lessons from a dog trainer at that time. And she was like, you should go visit her, hang out, spend the summer with her, and just be around dogs. So yeah, I did that. I thought that was a good idea. Mostly I was curious about how to keep dogs alive, right? I didn't really know where I went wrong because I had researched so much. I thought I was proficient at reading dog body language, and I didn't know how I missed the signs. Like what could I have done differently so that my dog could still be alive? So the very first day I was there, I was telling the dog trainer my story, and I was crying, and she listened, and she was very patient, and at the end she said something that sort of took me off guard. She said, that's why I didn't let that dog come back here. And I didn't know that she knew that dog. Yeah, so that was kind of a shock. And I think that's when the light bulb went off in my head that all of the things that I thought I knew, she was able to meet that dog one time and know that it was unsafe to be around other dogs. And I missed that for months and months. So right then I knew that whatever this lady knew, I needed to learn it. So I cleared my schedule and I downloaded her calendar and I went to every possible training that I could go, and I spent all my extra time there. Even if I had to do other work, I would bring it with me to the dog training school, and I would sit and listen to everything that she would let me soak in. And I learned a whole lot, right? So it is possible to keep dogs alive. It is possible to teach dogs not to eat other dogs. Yeah, the situation with Mandy could have easily been avoided if I knew what I knew now. But I also learned a whole lot more about dog training. So dog training is way more than just keeping dogs alive, but creating strong relationships with them and being able to go places. And trained dogs have more freedoms than untrained dogs, right? They can be in public without being a public safety hazard. You don't have to lock them up when you have people over the house. You can just enjoy them on so many different levels than a normal two-dimensional relationship with dogs where you just throw the ball or sit on the couch with them. So I was inspired and I spent 4 years there. I got a new puppy, Rugby. Here's Rugby here. I started doing competition obedience. I showed Rugby and client dogs in competition obedience, and Rugby is the only Maltese to be a champion in obedience. So he has traveled all over the country competing and done very well. He's been in commercials and he's basically an overall rock star. And then we decided that it was time to diversify and find our own way. So that's what we did. We left and we tried to find as many accomplished trainers and study their methods and compare them. And what we've learned is that all good training has the same core concepts. And it just depends what your goals are, what method you should choose. But we've compiled them to make a hybrid program that includes those core concepts to make sure that we have the reliability for our dogs, but that we get the best pet dog out of it, and that we can use a variety of tools. So no matter what your goals are with your dogs, if you follow these really simple step-by-step process, you can make progress, right? So you can teach your dog to not bark out the window, or to not pull you on a leash, or to be off leash in distracting areas, or to go onto competition obedience. It doesn't matter what your goals are, as little or as big as they are, or even as much time as you have, right? If you only have a few minutes a day to work on it, that's fine. Like, you'll still make progress. If you have hours a day to work on it, you'll probably make progress a little faster, but that is also fine, right? There's room in the method. As long as the method is followed, you'll see reliable results with your dog. And that's what makes us so happy, right? So besides just seeing these like transformations in dogs and their dog owners, like, we have also seen a really strong community be formed, right, of dedicated dog owners that like to do stuff with their dogs, right? So once your dog is trained, there's so many opportunities available to you, right? Stand-up paddleboarding, camping, going to restaurants, dog themed events. The sky's the limit. As much as you want to include your dog, you can, as long as they're trained and prepared for it. And that's what our training method gives you. So yeah.